Hi, I'm Felipa, and today is day 105 of reading this Bible over a year-long period. So we have a public reading of Moses' law and teachings. So Ezra the priest brings all of the men and all of the women that could hear with understanding on the first day of the 7th month, and he reads the book, and he has some people standing beside him. He blesses the Lord. And very interestingly, here in verse or chapter 8, verse 8, it says, "So they read in the book in the law of God distinctly, and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading." So saying that not they didn't just read the book, they actually were giving examples and helping people understand the laws and the commandments. So I that's an interesting piece here that was kind of highlighted. Then Nehemiah, Ezra, and the Levites comfort the people, because the people are listening to what is being read, and they are mourning and weeping because they hear the words of the law and are thinking of how these words and these commandments were not kept. But Ezra and the Levites, they say to them, this day is holy, and don't be sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And everybody is sent to drink, eat, and to send his portions to those who cannot have them. The people observe the festival of booths or tabernacles. So, as read in the book, they go out to find olive branches, pine branches, palm branches, myrtle branches, and they made themselves booths upon the roofs of their house. And it was something that it says had not been kept since the days of Jeshua, the son of Nun. There's a day of fasting and confession, where for 1/4 part of the day, they stood in their place and read in the book of the law of the Lord, and for the other 4th part of the day, they confessed and worshiped the Lord their God. There is a day of prayer, and it talks about some of these individuals saying that essentially so the Levites and Ezra, they reviewed kind of the history since God commanded Moses with all of the ways that, with all of the laws of God, and the history of how many times the people of Israel were committing sin, and that the chosen seed was committing sin over and over and over again against the Lord, and how through it all he kept bringing them out of their poor places, kept saving them, kept giving them grace, and kept giving them life, and multiplying all their possessions and their land, and giving them abundance. And so a recognition of all the good and all the mercy and all the forgiveness that God has repeated through the ages, and all of the vexations and the transgressions of the people and of the fathers and of the generations before, who kept following in wicked ways and being wicked. And it says here in chapter 9, verse 37, the word yield is used. It says, "And it yieldeth much increase unto our kings whom thou hast set over us because of our sins. Also they have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle, and at their pleasure we are in great distress." So just a little summary of how all of the transgressions of the people against the Lord have caused them to end up in a situation where now they have kings who rule over them, and who rule over the dominion of their land, and rule over everything that they have. And this brings them great distress. And obviously it's because they've done it to themselves. They've sinned, and God's either delivered them into the hands of those who came after them, or he simply just not intervened. And so a list of those who sealed a covenant, and the covenant is saying that they're going to be loyal servants unto God. So of all the people that signed the covenant, and another commitment, to not give daughters and sons onto the people of the land, to follow the Shabbat ordinances, to keep the holy things, to make contributions and offerings, meat offerings, financial offerings to the house of God, to the Levites, to the people that keep the house of the God, the first fruits of the ground, the firstborn of the sons, the first flocks of our herds, and things like that. So there is this big covenant kind of undertaken, and the promise that God's commandments will be kept. And at the very end, it says, "For the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the corn, of the new wine, and the oil unto the chambers, where are the vessels of the sanctuary, and the priests that minister, and the porters, and the singers. And we will not forsake the house of our God." So this is where I end day 105. Tomorrow is chapter 11, day 106, and I am almost done. the book of Nehemiah. I will let you know what I learned tomorrow. Thank you for listening.